Steve Gamache here with another Chef Knives to Go quick look product review, and this time what we're looking at is the Hinoura Tsuchiime or hammered shitogami or white paper number 2 Gyuto 240mm knife. So this line of knives uses a 3-layer construction. The center hard core cutting edge steel is shitogami or white paper number 2 reactive high carbon steel. Heat treats approximately 62 Rockwell on that core steel. And then what they do on either side of that hard core steel is they put a soft stainless cladding for a little bit easier maintenance on it. This cladding, as you can see, has a hammered pattern or Tsuchiime in it, and it also has kind of a gunmetal sandblasted kind of matte finish on the blade grind, and then a shiny polished edge steel, or I should say core steel, showing up from inside the layers. This particular method of construction does not bring the cladding over the spine, so you can see the 3-layer sandwich there of the materials, and so that does, show or expose some reactive metal on the top of the spine. So you got to make sure you wipe and dry this entire knife blade when you're done, which is a good practice anyway. You don't want to let it sit wet, but the stainless does help maintenance a bit. The weight and dimensions on these will vary just a little bit from knife to knife. This particular one is 189 grams or 6.7 ounces, and the edge length is 233 millimeters or about 9.2 inches. The overall length is about 15.4 inches on it, and these aren't really, they're not that thick for the type of blade that they are. So I measured this one about 2.6 millimeters back above the heel, and then about halfway down I measured it about 2.3. And we don't have a lot of taper beyond that on the spine thickness, but you can see at the grind it gets thin at that very tip. So they do get it thin where it counts. And these are also ground thin down to the edge. So these are excellent performing knives. The blade height is 47.6 millimeters at the heel, and so that gives you plenty of clearance. The neck is not overly wide, and you've got a good generous spot for a finger location there for a pinch grip, so it fits very nicely in there for a pinch grip. The handle is a very high quality octagonal key ebony handle with a laurel ferrule, and you can see they've got kind of a rounded butt end on it. The handle is kind of normal dimensions vertically, but widthwise it's thinner. You can see that. That brings, kind of a slimmer feel to it. The overall circumference is about 70 millimeters, about where the two woods meet. And so the handle does have a kind of a thin profile, but a lot of people are really liking these handles on these knives. This is a very high quality handle. You can kind of consider it a semi-custom handle, and it does add something to the value of the knife because ebony is expensive. The weight of that handle does help bring the balance point back a bit. So here is the balance point on the knife. So for me, that's a little bit in front of my pinch grip. For some other people with bigger hands, it might be right on the money. But that lends a little bit of mass to the front of the knife and gives you a little bit of that weight forward balance bias to it. So it feels like you have a bit of a knife in your hand. The out of the box edge was, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. These are extremely well crafted knives. Every knife I have seen from this maker is very high quality, high attention to detail, very straight, really clean grinds, just an excellent craftsmanship. So they do a great job on these. They are not inexpensive, but they are a very high quality product. Always consistently excellent. So let's see what else. Fit and finish. We've got a little bit of relief on the spine, on the corners of that, some relief on the choil. It's not highly polished, but that's kind of the look of the blade with the Kudauchi finish on it. You've got hand hammered, I shouldn't say necessarily hand hammered, but you've got a hammered pattern in there you can see. And then we've got chiseled kanji, so chiseled engraving there on the right side of the blade as you hold it. You can see this real smooth, cool looking, consistent gunmetal gray finish to the blade grind, and then a shiny core steel peeking out there. They've got a nice shine and polish on that. So being stainless, the cool thing is that this cladding really shouldn't change much, so that it'll maintain that look until you go to re-grind the knife on the flats, or I should say on the blade road here. But just a really pretty blade. Excellent craftsmanship on these. Nice fit and finish. So let's take a look. Easy to sharpen Shitogami number 2 steel. So they tend to have a little bit flatter profile on the back. So here's your profile on the back, and they've got a flattish area about the back 40% of the blade. And then you can see kind of just a gentle slope up, kind of a midpoint tip as far as height on the tip. So I can get pretty high on this. So this will rock pretty well for you. Glide cut, pull cuts, chopping at the back. So it really supports a lot of different techniques. Just excellent line of knives. Everything from this maker is top notch. Of course, this included. So beautifully crafted knife, really cool aesthetics, a little bit of that handcrafted feel, but very uniform as well. So it's just an excellent line of knives. So this is the Hinoura Tsuchiime or hammered Shitogami or white number 2 Gyuto 240mm knife.